In honor of the 91st Academy Awards, we brought out the bright lights and the red carpet for our NBA Oscars. You guys
do we have on our designer clothes? I know D-Fish does.
I don't know, GA.
We'll see.
Well, let's start with our first category, and it's Best Actor in a Leading Role. Ready for your nominees?
Yes.
And they go, well, last year's winner, because it's also the MVP, is James Harden. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Paul George. GA, who do you have?
I got to go with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Listen, Paul George has been unbelievable, as has James Harden. But let's face it, Giannis has the Milwaukee Bucks with the best record in the league, and he has been clearly the most consistent performer from day one. And I think that's the reason you got to go with Giannis and what he's done really on both ends of the floor under the tutelage of Coach Budenholzer.
I'm going Giannis as well.
So you guys agree?
I'm going to go Giannis as well, yes.
Unanimous decision. So we move on to our second category, and it's Best Supporting Actor, or also known as the Sixth Man, right?
Okay.
So you got Lou Will, who's leading all six men in scoring, and Domantas Sabonis of the Pacers, and one Derrick Rose of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Who wins the award?
Who you
Interesting. I'm going Lou Williams. I just think that Lou, on a nightly basis, is required to put out a great performance as a sixth man. And that is a difficult thing to do, to be a guy that's willing to have a supporting role but still put up star abilities and skills every time you step out there. So I'm going to go with Lou Williams.
You know what? I'm going to have to concur with my vote, my peer here, who's also a voter. And I think Sabonis has been incredible. And when you factor in how good the Pacers have been, I have no problem putting him in that category. But Lou Williams has just been on a tear at this stage of his career. And I would have to give him the nod, keeping the Clippers basically in the playoff hunt.
So those are two categories with not a lot of nominees. This category, it opens up a little bit because we're bringing the dynamic duo, two different guys, and we have 5 different nominees. So we start with Paul George, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Giannis, Chris Middleton, Kyle Lowry, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden and Chris Paul. Very loaded category for Best Dynamic Duo.
To me, there can be only one, and this is with all due respect to Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, who missed a lot of games. But Paul George and Russell Westbrook, to me, are head and shoulders above, simply because I can't figure out who the third best player on the Oklahoma City Thunder are. And those two guys have probably more responsibility as a duo than anybody in our league by far, because they also have to be the two best defensive players, in essence, on their team as well. And they've got this group right now sitting in that third slot in that Western Conference with eyes on possibly getting up to number 2.
And I'll agree. I think we're
lefty point guards, man.
So we have 3 unanimous.
Yes, it's what it is. It's their performances are what is determining the fact that it's unanimous. Paul George and Russell on a nightly basis, man. I don't know if there's another duo that is required to get it done at the level that they do every night.
And it's fair to say this, too. Listen, Steph and KD could do it, but their supporting cast is a little bit better. So that's one reason why I go with those two. They're asked to do more, and they've been able to do it and do it successfully.
I think the left-handed point guard thing, you guys think a lot alike. So maybe we'll get some differences here coming down the stretch. We have 3 more categories left, and we know the NBA National Basketball Association, maybe it's the International Basketball Association in this regard. Best Foreign Actor, International Player, we got Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Luka Doncic, and Bojan Bogdanovic of the Indiana Pacers.
Ooh.
I have a feeling maybe we'll see some dissension within you left-handers. Who do you got, Fish?
Yeah, initially, man, I didn't even really think of Giannis in this category because of how good I felt about him being the MVP. But
you going with the right end?
I'm going to go with, I don't know, man. I think Doncic might be
the rookie
in there. You know, sometimes
the teenager,
somebody bursts on the scene and you didn't really expect them to just burst out and be a star.
And we have different categories for people, so maybe you
role.
give them,
I think Doncic, man, has burst onto the scene in a way that none of us expected. I'm going to go with Doncic.
Oh, Doncic has been incredible. But you got to be on something to not go with the Joker. I mean, the Joker, he's got them a half game out of the 1 seed in the Western Conference. He's almost averaging a triple-double. He's getting 20, 11, and 8 for this team. When you factor in all the injuries they've had, the lack of continuity in terms of that lineup, and yet and still, he has been the one constant for this group all season long. And you know, I'm the biggest Luka Doncic fan as there is on the planet. I love this guy. I think he's a true superstar in the making. But Jokic has arrived, and the Nuggets are for real because of him.
I'm just happy to see you guys disagree about one category. Moving on to best performance by a team, and we're sticking with the Joker and those Denver Nuggets. They're a nominee in that category. Golden State Warriors, they're just going to be here year after year because they're the incumbents. And then the Milwaukee Bucks, who have had the best record in the NBA for a while now. So this is a tough category. Who do you have?
I don't think it's tough. It's the Milwaukee Bucks. Come on. Yeah. Let's face it. Listen, Denver is up there because of what they've done being a 2 seed. But not only is Milwaukee the 1 seed in the East, they got the best record in the NBA. They've beaten the top dogs. Giannis has been incredible, but don't forget about Chris Middleton. And also Eric Bledsoe's been good. But the big X factor has been Malcolm Brogdon for me. His maturity and growth at that off-guard spot with what Mike Budenholzer has brought over in terms of his system, getting these guys to buy in. Who would have ever thought that the Bucks could be considered one of the best offensive teams in the league coming into the season? But that's exactly what they are. So I don't think there's any question at this point they are the team.
I would agree. And I know Chris wants us to differ on some of these, but I would agree. And here's what, to me, separates them from all the other ensembles. They're in the top 5 in offensive rating, and they're in the top 5 in defensive rating. So that tells me that just in terms of an ensemble cast and team, they're getting it done in front of the camera, behind the camera, everywhere you need it to be done. My vote goes to the Bucks.
Now, it's interesting you say in front of the camera, behind the camera, because the next category, Best Director, also known as the coach, Mike Malone of the Denver Nuggets, worthy to be there, Mike Budenholzer of the Milwaukee Bucks, Steve Kerr, the Golden State Warriors, and Nate McMillan, the Indiana Pacers.
Oh,
who are you rolling with?
Come on now.
That's a tough category.
See, Nate McMillan was going to be my right end, because on my ballot, he wasn't on there originally. It's hard to coach talent. Steve Kerr deserves more credit. But Mike Budenholzer, to me, I love Mike Malone, but Mike Budenholzer, to me, when you look at this Milwaukee Bucks team and what they were able to do prior to Budenholzer's arrival in the playoffs, in the postseason, but the jump that they've made, I just think that it speaks to his approach, his leadership style, how much the players are enjoying working with him. My vote is to Budenholzer.
You know, it's hard not to take Budenholzer in all seriousness because what they've done this year is really incredible. But I'm going to go with Coach Malone, with Mike Malone, and what he's done in Denver. And the only reason is because of all the injuries and all that they've had to deal with. He's made a team, a young team, that really was allergic to defense a season ago. And he's gotten them to buy in. He's gotten them to buy into playing winning basketball. A lot of times with young players, they tend to want to prove how good they are, and that doesn't always coincide with winning. He's gotten these guys to be unselfish and trust one another, and for them to be in that 2 slot in the Western Conference, man, that is, to me, you got to tip your cap to them. And both those guys, I wish they could actually share Coach of the Year this year because I think they have equally done a great job this season.
Certainly has been an incredible season, and this has been an incredible award show with you two. Red carpet
Where are our gift
rolled
bags?
Out for you.
I'm looking for the swag
That's
bag.
backstage after.
Oh, okay. All right. Just checking.
And we'll put a bow on this show when we return. You're watching Game Time.